So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining the National Black MBA Association DC chapter webinar. Today we have a special presentation that will provide you with some information on how to take advantage of the technical assistance and financial resources that the District of Columbia offers to small businesses. Before we get into the presentation and I introduce our guest, just wanted to make a couple announcements about some upcoming events that you will be seeing or have already seen in our recent newsletters. First, there will be a Minority Business Expo on August 6th. So if you're interested, please see communications on that to register. In addition, we'll be having elections for our board. Our elected board members serve 2-year terms, so this election will be for service from 2023 to 2025. So elections have begun, so go ahead and make your selection for our key positions such as president, vice president, and recording secretary. In addition, I hope you have all seen that the conference at the national level is going to be in Atlanta this year, and there are already communications going out about that. So please consider joining it if you haven't gone before. It's a wonderful experience, great presentations, very good career expo, great event, and it'll be in Atlanta, so that'll also be really fun. So if you're interested, please make sure to register for the conference at the national level in Chicago. So without further ado, I'll get into the introduction of our guest speaker, Ms. Shannon. I'll have to read her biography, so excuse me while I read. But Ms. Shannon Taylor is a project manager. She works in the Made in DC certification program for the Department of Small and Local Business Development, also known as DSLBD. Specifically, she's working with the Innovation and Equitable Development Division. The Made in DC certification program supports and promotes businesses that design or make and produce products here in the district. Mrs. Taylor's tenure with the DC government has been with emphasis on small business community, supporting the small business community in several components, including regulatory and licensing requirements, special event planning, and training and development, and grants management. So if you would all join me in welcoming our speaker, Ms. Shannon Taylor. Yay.
Oh, no. Perfect. Thank you, Sarah. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this evening. I want to start by just saying thanks so much for the invite to Sarah and the team. Happy to be here this evening and hope that the individuals on the line are joining me are entrepreneurs or have an entrepreneurial spirit, or you're seeking to jump into the entrepreneurial journey, if you will. And so I'm hoping that the presentation today will be of great benefit to you and how you can connect, if you have not already, specifically with DC government, as DSLBD is a government entity here in the district, and then how to navigate not only within DSLBD, but other government agencies that are providing amazing resources to support your business in the growth and sustainability, which we hope for many, many years to come. And so with that, I do have a presentation. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And let's present this here. All right. Okay. And so with that, we're going to go ahead and jump right into our discussion today. And this presentation is going to focus more on get to the money. How do you get to the dollars, right? How to apply for grants and business resources to support your business financially here in the District of Columbia. And so our agenda for today, we're going to go through very quickly. I want this to be as informative as possible, but also interactive as possible. So I do want to make sure that we leave space and time for everyone on the line to introduce themselves and their business, and then ask any questions you might have pertaining to the information that I go over in this presentation. So specifically, we're going to talk about who is DSLBD and what do we do. Some of the services that we offer, specifically with highlighting our one-on-one technical assistance to small businesses. We're also going to talk about the regulatory process, when and how you should be navigating that process for your business, how to become grant ready. What do you need to prepare yourself if you are at a stage in your business where you are seeking access to capital and applying for grants specific to DC government, but then also grants that might be offered through third-party entities, and how to find and explore those grant opportunities. In addition to that, we'll also talk about alternative financing opportunities, specifically our DC Kiva Hub, our DC PTAC, and additional certifications that might be a benefit to your business, and when and how you go about applying for those specific certifications. So as Sarah mentioned, my name is Shannon Taylor. I'm a project manager specifically with DSLBD. I've been at DSLBD for about 3 years now. That is the third district government that I have worked for throughout my tenure with DC government. But as she mentioned, all of my background is in small business community support. Previous to DSLBD, I worked with DCRA, which is the regulatory and licensing agency here within the District of Columbia. And my work there was mainly around supporting small food businesses in the mobile food trucking business and special events, in addition to offering training and development. And specifically, a lot of my work now with DSLBD is going to also be in grant management, having managed several of the agency micro grant programs over the course of the last 3 years. A little bit about me personally: I grew up in a family full of creatives, I like to call them, and then chose to embark on my own entrepreneurial journey, launching the first mobile bookstore here in Washington, D.C. And so with that, DSLBD is the Department of Small and Local Business Development. We use a lot of acronyms here in district government, but DSLBD supports the development, economic growth, and retention, specifically of district-based businesses, to promote economic development throughout the district's commercial corridors. The division that I work with specifically within DSLBD is one of 6 divisions of the agency, and that is the NOED division. The NOED division is tasked with building and supporting entrepreneurial ecosystem in DSLBD, but a lot of our work through our statutory programs, microgrant programs, and our robust technical assistance our technical assistance program is really supporting entrepreneurs that have faced barriers or hurdles along that journey, and helping them to remove those barriers to entrepreneurship. So DSLBD generally, we have a lot of statutory programs that have been created and funded specifically by the DC Council, and then other initiatives through certifications and business opportunities. And so this list here just generally lists some of the assistance generally that we offer. We have a DC Main Streets program. There are about 28 of those all throughout the DC corridors that support the commercial revitalization and support of commercial businesses here in the district. We also offer the DC Kiva Hub, which we're going to talk about a little bit more, micro grants, trainings, general technical assistance. And in the realm of procurement, we also do a lot through our CBE program, our DC PTAC program, and business opportunities division. And we're going to talk about quite a few of these in a little more detail throughout this presentation. So a little bit more about NOED. We are a small but mighty team. We are the smallest division within the agency, having only 5 members to the team. We've offered over 271 trainings and info sessions in FY21 alone. We have had over 3,000 participants to our Build a Dream curriculum, which is a curriculum, a 10-hour course curriculum in helping businesses to develop a business plan using the very popular Lean Canvas model. And then, of course, you can see all of the other stats of the work that our team has done over the course of the years. And so we are always appreciative for the opportunities to serve DC small businesses and entrepreneurship. We believe wholeheartedly that entrepreneurship is for everyone, right? Turning those hobbies into businesses, generating additional income to support your families, and really just being able to pursue a career that allows you to live and pursue your passion. And so first we'll jump into technical assistance. Technical assistance is super important because it is the one step typically most businesses take to really have a better understanding of the process and how to establish, create, and function your business. Technical assistance is not a one-time deal. It is something that you should be seeking on an ongoing basis, but our team specifically offer one-on-one technical assistance opportunities. We do that via phone calls in addition to in-person drop-in technical assistance opportunities at the MLK Library. Located downtown. We do weekly drop-in TA hours every Wednesday. So if you guys ever want to drop in and meet me or any other members of the team to have some technical assistance about your business, please feel free to drop in. We talk about any topic as it pertains to your DC business. We're ready to tackle your questions. All InnoEd program leads, including myself, we are able to offer general technical assistance to cover many different topics, but we all have very distinct focus points. My technical assistance focus point is really going to speak to business startup and understanding and navigating the regulatory process. At the end of our one-on-one technical assistance, the good thing that comes out of that is that we will send you a roundup of all the resources and ideas we discussed. In addition to highlighting SBTA providers, we recommend that you connect with as well. And so if you are interested in chatting with us, the link here at the bottom, and I'll drop all of these links in the chat once I end the presentation, is how you can specifically connect with the InnoEd programs in the team. And this link tree will list all of the programs and things that we work on throughout through our work in our programs, as well as micro grant opportunities. All right. And so with technical assistance, we always encourage you to ask your TA providers and your network for referrals. Word of mouth is the best way for you to learn about opportunities and how you can connect your business to those opportunities. You can get by with a little help from your friends, and we love to make new friends as well. So as much as we want to share resources with you, we love to hear about the opportunities and resources that you have been able to access in your small business throughout your journey as well. Uh-oh, sorry about that. All right. So the first resource that I do want to share, that one that I think a lot of people do not, oh gosh, sorry, do not know about is our DC Business Toolkit. The DC Business Toolkit is a resource specifically that centralizes citywide training, funding opportunities, guidance, and other resources, not only of DSLBD, but also of 150 plus agencies, internal and external to district government. It allows you a citywide business calendar. It also has roadmaps to help you navigate multiple resources by topic. You can also go there and find other local DC businesses, in addition to listing your business in the toolkit as a resource to promote your business. It is completely free. Who doesn't like free marketing of their business? So I encourage everyone to create an account and explore the DC Business Toolkit. In addition to that, there's also an opportunity for approved partners to contribute content in real time as they're seeking to connect specifically with DC businesses. And so it's a kind of a drop all resource where not only will you find out about training opportunities, you'll also find out about grant opportunities. It's just going to be one large network or resource dump. And I encourage everyone to be connecting to that resource specifically. In addition to that, there are also SBTA providers. SBTA providers are small business technical assistance providers. There is a list here of just some generally that are located here in the district. We work very closely with many of these SBTA providers. As I stated, our technical assistance, might only get you so far, but we encourage you to connect on a larger scale to these SBTA providers that can continue to provide ongoing resources for your business. And again, they are citywide. So if you have not ever connected with an SBTA provider, I would encourage you to do so. This is just a general list. There are so many more, but a lot of what I will say about the SBTA providers is they do what we do in a technical assistance space, but on a much broader scale. And they have a larger capacity to support you on an ongoing basis with offering you that technical assistance in resource sharing, connecting you to programs, cohorts, or training-based communities that you can continue to be a part of throughout the journey of your entrepreneur journey. In addition to that, of course, there are grant resources and technical assistance resources internal to district government, but there are also some amazing federal resources as well. So the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, they offered free TA for the life of your business. They actually have business consultants that will work with you on an ongoing basis. That also includes the DC Women's Business Center, as well as SCORE and the SBA Washington office. And again, these are all federal resources. So of course their money stretches and their money is much longer than we will ever have. So I would encourage you to connect with them as well. So as you begin to think about resources, how do I learn more about what I need in my business? How do I connect with the partners to connect me to other resources, specifically around grants is what we're going to talk about here. But of course, as we jump into that, we also have to talk about how do you form your business to be a legal entity, whereas you have an opportunity to take part in these resources. And that regulatory process, in most cases, for many businesses, it's going to start with DCRA, which is the Department of Consumer and Regulatory Affairs. As I stated before, they're the licensing and regulatory agency for all businesses here in the District of Columbia. At DCRA is where you're going to go to establish your corporate entity. When you're looking to establish your business, whether that's an LLC, that could be an S Corp, a C Corp. You might even want to be a sole proprietor with a registered trade name, but the corporations division will be located within DCRA, and that is where you are going to create that entity. From there, you're then going to be required to obtain a business license for your business. The corporation, the good way to think about it is creating the actual legal entity of the business. The business license is what you need to give you permission to actually generate the revenue and conduct the business. So the business licensing division is where you will go to apply. That is an online portal. So they have streamlined that process to make that super easy for you. And then in addition to that, there are also professional licensing and renewal requirements. So some business entities require a basic business license, and depending on what you're doing, you might need a professional license. A good example might be if you are an attorney, or you are a massage therapist, or a barber. Those are all professional licenses. And so in addition to a basic business license, you also will be required to obtain a professional license as well. And so this visual is just pretty much a very quick overview of the steps to obtaining a basic business license. And I went through this primarily. Your corporate registration or trade name. Of course, you will need to register first with the IRS to obtain your EIN or FEIN number, and then register that number with OTR, the Office of Tax and Revenue, which is for the district here. In addition to any business, you also have to meet a zoning requirement and obtain what we call a certificate of occupancy or a home occupation permit. Depending on where you are operating your business, whether from a commercial space, if you're a brick and mortar business, or maybe you have a an office space where your customers can, come into and meet you, that will require a certificate of occupancy. If you are, let's say, a consultant or running an online e-commerce store, or your headquarters for your business is located in your home, that requires a home occupation permit. The good thing about that is you can apply for the home occupation permit in conjunction with your business license through that business licensing portal. And then, of course, from there, once you have obtained the first 3 steps, you then should have all of the requirements necessary to apply for your basic business license. In addition to DCRA, there are other regulatory agencies that you do want to make sure that you are maintaining compliance with. And those regulatory agencies will depend on your business type. So if your business affects health, safety, or the environment, if you have employees, it is also important that you consider what additional regulatory agencies that you need to make sure that you are applying for necessary permits or certificates in order for you to be fully in compliance and your business to be operating as such. Some of the other compliance agencies are definitely going to be the Office of Tax and Revenue, OTR. That is going to apply to any business, no matter what type of business you are creating. You need to make sure that you are paying and reporting those necessary taxes and paying those sales and use tax fees. Let's say you are a food-based business or maybe a massage therapist. That is where the Department of Health might come into play. In most cases, it will require an inspection from them or some type of certificate. And then additionally, DOES could also be an entity that you need to make sure that you are staying in compliance with, specifically if you have employees, and that is the Department of Employment Services. There could be others, so this is just the top 3 other regulatory agencies that we see businesses are going to need. And so you have created an amazing business idea, you've done your planning, you've done all of your homework, you now have obtained your business license, and you are operating because you are generating revenue and financing your business through your sales. And that's what we call sales first financing. But that, for many businesses, specifically those in the startup phase, can only get you so far. So maybe you are now exploring or thinking about how to access additional capital, and grants are typically the first place that many small businesses are seeking to access capital. And so how do you get grant ready? So many people talk about this. I think I'm ready for grants, and then they get to the application and realize that in fact they are not ready. And the one caveat that I will tell anyone on the line is, if you want to access capital, whether that's through grants, that's through loans, it could be through pitch programs that are offering funding at the end, your books will need to be in order. And when we say books, I mean from your regulatory pieces to your compliance pieces, in addition to in many cases, your books, your actual bookkeeping, and the importance of having bookkeeping and financial systems put in place at the onset of your business are going to be critical to your success in accessing funding. And so some of the basic things that you need to be thinking about if you are looking to apply for grants, as I stated, it's going to be that EIN, it's going to be that DC business license, clean hands, which that is a certificate that is issued by the Office of Tax and Revenue that basically is certifying that your business does not owe the district government any monies in excess of $100. We find that is probably the one document that is a hurdle to so many small businesses in the grant application process, because businesses are just not aware of those ongoing filing requirements and staying up to date. Insurance in many cases is going to be required. Sometimes there is even being able to produce a corporate good standing certificate, the certificate of occupancy, your tax filings. Some of these will be required, some will be optional, but they will differ, and they will be specific to certain programs. And there also are additional pieces that your business might want to consider as you are thinking about applying for grants. A Dun & Bradstreet registration, a REBA registration, specifically if you are getting funding or grants through district government. That is the system that you need to register for in order to receive payment from the government. And so these, I would say, are going to be specific to each grant program, but the more of them that you're able to obtain and maintain on an early ongoing basis, the better. All right. And so as you think about grants, because I know I went through that fairly quickly, but as you think about grants, the top things that I'm going to just make sure that you flag is definitely the compliance. The business must remain in good standing with all regulatory agencies for you to even meet eligibility of the most basic grants. Understanding grant requirements, making sure that you know how to read through and interpret an RFA, a request for application, which in most cases will be the official instructions of any grant program, making sure, one, that you're meeting eligibility, and then based on the basic eligibility that you have, that you know and are clear on the requirements and the documents that you need to submit to meet eligibility. In most cases, we also find small businesses are often tripped up on insurance requirements. The Office of Risk Management has insurance requirements for many grantees. It could be as simple as a general business license, and it can be as intense as having automobile insurance if you have vehicles that your business are using, to workers' compensation insurance. There can be a lot of them. So understanding insurance requirements. And then lastly, which I feel like gets swept under the rug often, is reporting and closeout. Understanding what is required of you after receiving the monies, right? Because there are steps that you will have to take to report how you are expending those funds. And those are done sometimes monthly, sometimes quarterly, sometimes yearly. It just depends. In addition to closeout statements or receipts. And this step actually impacts people more than you could imagine. What we have found is typically if you do not properly close out and report on a grant that you received, let's say from DSLBD, that will trickle down and actually prevent you from applying and being eligible for other grants within other entities. So you want to make sure that, yes, I got the money. That is great. We're happy. We're super excited. But you want to make sure that you are closing everything out so that when that next opportunity comes, you are able to apply and access that as well. So let's talk about some of the specific grant programs and the grant issuing agencies that you might want to explore specifically within DC government. Of course, I already spoke to DSLBD. We offer micro grants, which are going to be grant awards under $50,000. So typically our grants are going to award between $5,000 to about $10,000. Many of them are going to be competitive in some nature. We have also run grant programs that have been awarded via lottery. All of those details, of course, will be outlined in the RFA. Additionally, the Deputy Mayor of Planning and Economic Development, also known as DMPED, we are a part of their cluster, but they have the capacity to offer grants, micro and large, through their commercial revitalization grants. They also have neighborhood opportunity zones. DMPED is going to have a much larger pot of money, and they're going to run grant programs more frequently than DSLBD will. Additionally, some other agencies to flag is going to be the Department of Insurance, Securities, and Banking, also known as DISB, DHCD, DOEE, which is the Department of Energy and Environment, and even CAH, which is the Commission on Arts and Humanities. These are just generally a list that comes up off the top of my head of grant issuing agencies. I will just share within district government specifically, there are about 80 agencies that have grant making authority. So you want to make sure you're exploring and looking into those entities for additional opportunities. Specifically, though, the one site that I want to push everyone to is going to be a new site that was created by DMPED, which is called obviously.dc.com. The deputy mayor developed a helpful guide in fiscal year 2022, specifically for agencies to share their grant opportunities in one cohesive database. So if you visit Obviously DC, you can go there, and specifically there will be grant resources and grant program applications that you can connect with. Of course, those other 80 district governments agencies will be able to list their grant and funding alerts there as well. And they also do list federal opportunities also. So I would encourage you, Obviously DC is typically the first stop and where you can learn about many grant opportunities here, specifically in district government. Oops. All right, so we talked about grants. Grants are great, and I think folks get super excited about grants, but the other piece that I want to make sure we are highlighting is alternative financing opportunities. And I say that because grants, as I mentioned, are not guaranteed. Grants programs specific to DC are only created or developed when funding has been allocated to that. So in the case that funding is not allocated, a grant is not guaranteed. Therefore, we do not want you to be building your business or running your business off of the thought of a grant will continue to fund me, because that's not guaranteed. And so we share alternative financing opportunities. So we're going to switch gears a little bit here. And the first one that we like to share is our DC Kiva Hub. The DC Kiva Hub, we just launched a little over a year ago, so it's super exciting. The DC Kiva Hub is run by DSLBD, specifically my coworker Camille Nixon, who is our Access to Capital Manager, who you will work with directly if you're thinking about applying for this program. The Kiva program, however, is an international crowdfunding campaign specifically for small businesses. But through Kiva, they offer zero interest, zero fee loans, which are crowdfunded between $1,000 and $15,000. And the good thing about DC Kiva, although it is a loan, it's pretty much like cash, right? There's no fees or interest to you, so you're not paying back anything extra. The amazing thing about this, although it is crowdfunded, it is created with the emphasis of supporting entrepreneurial dreams and passions, and individuals all over the world are able to support and donate to your business through the DC Kiva Hub. Other alternative financing opportunities are definitely going to come through our CDFIs and other lenders. CDFIs are community development financial institutions. Here's a list of some of the more popular ones that we work with. They offer low barrier loans for your business, startup loans, credit rebuilding loans. And then they also, many of them are also SBTA providers as well. So they will be able to layer in that training. Many of which, specifically LEDC, Waketh, and even City First Enterprises, they offer cohort programs that you can apply for to participate in to receive that ongoing support for your business as well. And this is just a list. And of course, this is not everyone, but also as you're on that journey, thinking about more CBOs, community-based organizations that are either offering grant opportunities, cohort training opportunities, or pitch program opportunities for you to continue to receive financing in your business. 1863 Ventures is always a good one. Black Girl Ventures does a lot here in DC as well, offering a lot of pitch opportunities. And then Halcyon does cohort-based training that is directly investing in your business as well. So of course, this is not the complete list, but as you think about, alternative ways or other entities that you can be connecting to financing, CBOs are always a good resource as well. So lastly, I'll just share about certifications. Certifications can also benefit your business and help you get to the money. Specifically, the Certified Business Enterprise, the CBE, that is a small business inclusion program that helps businesses compete for DC government contractors. This is a program that is also housed within DSLBD. What it basically does is give you preference points when you are competing to be a prime or a subprime on different contract opportunities here in DC. And specifically, if you are looking to be a business that the government can procure with directly. So they will help you in how you can navigate the supply schedule, understanding how DC agencies are spending their money, what type of businesses they are spending their money with, and what type of products they are looking to obtain. So if you are a DC-based business, you may be eligible to become a CBE. I would encourage you to reach out to our certifications division and learn more about the CBE program. One thing that I will highlight specifically, last year, the mayor allocated $1 billion in funds that were required to be spent with CBE businesses. $1 billion was spent in the district, specifically with CBE businesses in last year. So if this is something if you are in contracting or procurement, I would definitely encourage you to explore that. The CBE, as I said, it just helps you find opportunities. It connects primes with subprimes, which many small businesses start as, also district governments, public and private projects. And then specifically with having your CBE certification specialist, they will also help you with counseling, conferences, workshops, for you to become more contract ready. And then is where they will introduce you to our DC Procurement Technical Assistance Center, also known as DC PTAC. They also offer personalized business counseling and competitive insights on how you can navigate government contracting successfully, but specifically broader than just local government contracting. They will help you on a state level, a local level, and with federal government contracts. And typically they want to work with businesses that have some experience in working with contracts, but I will say that they are changing that up a little bit. So again, I would encourage you, if you believe that you could be eligible to be a PTAC client, to reach out to them as well. The last certification, I mentioned this is the program that I actually manage, which is our Made in DC program. It is a free certification as well, specifically to our maker businesses that are resident owned, that are designing, making, assembling, manufacturing a product here in the district. You are required to be a district resident, as well as the business must be located here in the district. And you also must be able to attest that you are designing and doing all of that creative work here in the district specifically. It is free. On our website, we have a shop local directory where your business will be promoted. We do a lot of our promotion and marketing of our Made in DC businesses, specifically on our social media platform, IG at This Is Made in DC. We have a robust following of over 39,000 followers that we've built up of consumers specifically looking to be very intentional in how they spend their money and shop local. So I would encourage you to also access this opportunity, as we found that many of our Made in DC businesses have started at home-based businesses and have been able to grow their business to either brick and mortar, wholesale, co-packing opportunities if they're food products, to be featured in local grocery stores or even grocery stores nationally. And so we are coming up on the end. I know I presented all of that really fast. I wanted to make sure there is time and space for questions. I see a lot of stuff coming in the chat. And so there is so much more to DSLBD, and we could go on and on forever. But for now, I want to thank you guys for joining today. We are always, there are always new initiatives, new partnerships, and new opportunities within our agency. And so with that, I would just encourage everyone to stay connected. Please, if you have any questions or want to connect with me or any other members of my team outside of this presentation, please do send us an email at no.ed@dc.gov. Again, you can connect with all of our programs using our link tree here. There is a really long list of all of the amazing things that we do, from our statutory programs programs to the grant programs that we manage, and then of course how you can connect with us through technical assistance. And on a broader scale, I would just encourage everyone to be following the DSLBD Eventbrite. That is where we list all of our trainings, workshops, as well as upcoming grant information sessions and opportunities, and how you can stay connected on all of the things that we have going on. And so with that, I will just say thank you to all of you for joining today. I am going to stop sharing so that we can hopefully get into some of these questions about your businesses specifically.
All right, that was fabulous. Thank you so much, Shannon. Lots of good information.
No
And I,
problem.
for one, would say I do appreciate that you're able to plug some non-DC government, such as federal resources as well. I think that's really helpful. And that kind of leads into actually one of the questions that we had in the chat. The question is what out of the resources you shared, which ones are the ones that are available for non-DC businesses?
So I would say if you are a non-DC resident, you're going to want to explore the SBTA providers and the federal resources specifically. So you're going to want to connect with the federal business resources, the SBDC, or in your case, SBA. You are going to want to explore within your jurisdiction what is the entity through the SBA that is offering that small business development center assistance. The DC Women's Business Center is also a great resource. They do not require that you are a DC resident in order to access a lot of their grant opportunities. Some are offered through them specifically, but a lot of their work is going to be finding and gathering independent entities that are offering grant opportunities. So federal specifically, as you think about DC government on a grant standpoint, many of those agencies are going to require that you are a district resident, but there are some where you do not have to be a district resident, but you must be a district-based business. And so that is where you're just going to want to make sure that you're reading through those RFAs specifically to make that determination. There are a lot of individuals that are not residents of the district, but they do have licensed entities that where they are conducting business here. And so in some cases, you will be able to still qualify for that, but you're going to want to just explore what that looks like specifically.
Thanks, Fatima, for that question. Another question, this is actually just my question about the Kiva resources. If that's an international organization, what's the benefit of working with your office in order to apply for those opportunities?
Yep. So that's a great question. The opportunity in working with our office is that you're going to have someone that's going to provide you with that one-on-one expertise in how to best navigate the Kiva system. So a lot of the work that Camille is going to do is going to help you in prepping what you are putting on the platform, how to really create your descriptions, your photos, what your asks are, and getting your application into Kiva. Kiva works in two ways. There's a private and a public campaign. And so where we find in most cases, if you do not get through the private campaign, you will not get to the public campaign, which opens you up to those international, the other people internationally to invest in your business. So that support is going to be, we're going to walk you through that process. In addition to that, being that we are an authorized DC Kiva Hub, a lot of what we find is when you have those additional certifications, you can be backed by what we say as a trustee. For example, Made in DC is a trustee. The CBE program is a trustee. And what the system does then is kind of gives you additional preference points that helps you to get to your funding goal much quicker, in addition to accessing you to a very private resources of banks, whether CDFIs or larger banks, where they are looking specifically to invest matching funds, which helps you get to your goal a lot quicker. And so that is the benefit of having working through the DC Kiva Hub in that way, where you could just go on Kiva yourself and apply, but we find that many individuals that do that are not as successful in meeting that target by the deadline that Kiva has outlined.
Okay, that makes sense. Another question I have, in the presentation, you did a great job of describing the requirements to be successful. But can you give us any tips on some of the outliers or differentiators that made certain applications for microgrants more attractive?
So I mean, I think again, it's whether or not one, the grant application is competitive. I think that's always something that you need to look at first. In most cases, our grants are competitive, but there has been opportunities for grant monies where it's not competitive. It could be through a lottery program, right? And so, of course, the requirements of eligibility are going to be a lot lower. When we get in the competitive space, a lot of what we find is it only becomes competitive if you meet eligibility. And so that's why we put such a heavy emphasis on understanding and being able to interpret what the ask is for eligibility. We get so many individuals that are applying for grant opportunities that do not understand the eligibility, therefore they never make it to the competitive portion of the grant, right? And so there are additionally grant resources that you can be connecting with to help you on the competitive portion. What's going to help you to stand out? How are you going to honestly compete? I'll be honest, much of the competitive portion on a lot of the grants are going to speak specifically to your business. Being able to really do well with storytelling and branding your business in a way that the funds reviewers feel that you would be best suited to receive those funds. But I would say my focus and what I would encourage anyone to focus on first is eligibility. Understanding that, being clear on what that is going to take a lot of the load off and allow you additional time to spend on those competitive portions to make sure that you are properly and completely answering those competitive questions.
All right, thank you very much. For everybody else on the call, you can feel free to unmute yourself or put additional in the, we have another question.
Yep.
So the question is, how is best to navigate the insurance obligation?
Yep. So honestly, I would say the insurance is kind of a toss up, right? Every grant is going to differ. The amount of the grant is going to make those insurance requirements differ. At minimum, I would say every business needs to be maintaining general liability insurance. That is going to be the insurance that I have seen the most that just on the surface is going to be the minimum. So you want to make sure that you have that at minimum. And then based on that ORM, which you can always reach out to them or ask specifically of the grant agency, what type of insurance would be required, because it differs. I've seen it go as, it requires additional policies on top of that. The actual the amount of the policy will differ, how much you need to maintain in that way. It's kind of hard to say specifics, but we've seen in some cases where folks needed environmental protection insurance. Like, I mean, it could be super extreme, and in some cases, it's probably more extreme than it needs to be, but the risk is assessed by the Office of Risk Management, not the specific agency. And so those would be questions that you would need to ask to them. But at minimum, I feel like general liability insurance is something that you should be getting for your business, much in the way of you getting a business license and maintaining those regulatory components. I think
So Melody, did that answer your question?
ORM is the Office of Risk Management. Sorry, please flag me for any
answered my question. I thank you so much. I did get the general liability piece, and I guess I wanted to add a little caveat there. How about for high risk? Like I'll be an alternative mental health agency here in the city. Can you tell me what that will look like for me?
Again, that's going to be ORM. I'm
Got
not
it.
sure.
Okay.
Yep. So
Understood.
ORM, what I would encourage you to do, here in DC, is to reach out to them, and just, you can ask those specific questions to their customer service. Hey, I'm looking to formulate this type of business. business, what type of insurance do you think I should have? Additionally to that, I would also say I would start honestly with an attorney. So I would be thinking about, as you're formulating and developing this business, really understanding that component from a legal standpoint first. An attorney will probably be able to answer those specific just on, for generally, and then ORM might be more of an entity you want to reach out to as you're looking to navigate and apply for grants. The DC Bar Pro Bono is a great resource for legal resources for startup small businesses. They offer free legal advice, and so that might be where you want to start to get a better understanding of that.
That was more information than I was expecting. I appreciate it.
Perfect.
Yes. Any other questions? Go ahead and put them in the chat, or go ahead and just get off mute and ask directly.
And I do see this is being recorded, of course, but I'm also happy to share over the slide deck. I'll send that to Sarah as well, so that you guys have those direct links. And as I stated, we are here. We are always looking to connect. I know there were some questions about being a district government resident or a DC-based business. We work with DC-based businesses. So if you're not a resident, that is okay. I would definitely encourage you to connect with DSLBD and our team specifically, really just to learn more. And maybe we can't help you with some of the things you need, but we are happy to share and point you in the right direction and how you can navigate in other jurisdictions, or how to connect with them specifically, so that you can continue to grow and think about where and when it is best for you to formulate your business here. And I'm happy to drop my email in the chat as well. Sorry, go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, and by the way, those slides are fire. Beautiful slides.
Perfect. So I will make sure I share those over to you at the end of this as well.
Thanks. Well, if there are no other questions, we can adjourn for now, but just everybody, please join me in thanking Shannon Taylor for her time and her expertise. I hope you all found this to be useful, and pass it along. If you know somebody who could use this information, share the love.
Perfect.
With all that, thanks, and have a good evening, everybody.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Hope everyone has a great evening.
You too.
Bye-bye.